Hello, this is Techman88, and I've got a new, very simple iron farm. It doesn't use any redstone like I've seen on some other farms. It uses some of the just gameplay mechanics and line of sight mechanics to get these guys to bob in and out of the view of the zombie. Because they need to bob out of the view to work and sleep. So like if I go to nighttime, you can see these guys eventually can sleep just when they bob down far enough. So if I go as like the zombie, well, he's not facing the right direction, but you can see that this red box there, imagine a point right at the center of that. That's getting blocked by this piece of carpet, which is just about the right height when they're bobbing up in that water. So additionally, and I've seen this on other farms before, when these guys are sleeping, they can see the zombie and get woken up. So these will work 24 hours a day. Another just convenient thing that this farm does is that the iron golems, they can see the zombie and they'll just pathfind over toward it. So it's just a little bit easier to set up than a water stream, maybe a little bit faster. And what I was thinking is you maybe have a bunch of these farms and some big water collection system at the bottom and just like a consolidated collection area. So pretty much everything on this farm is here for a reason, and I'm going to go through some of that. Like I don't have any blocks below these beds because the villagers can wake up there and then they'll get kind of like transported into here and they can bounce off each other, and that's just not good. Let's see, like this glowstone up here, that is important because you don't want the iron golem to spawn right there. Might be able to demonstrate it. From his height, he won't be able to see that golem, so his height will be 44 point whatever. He can't see the zombie from here, so that's why it's a glowstone, and that also keeps this lit up. So the dimensions on this are quite important. These villages are 7 blocks away from the zombie, so that's block 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then they're on the 7th block. And I did try to have them at 8 blocks away, but really there's no benefit to that. 8 is the maximum, but if you do that, then some of these guys, I think the guys over here, they're just like a little bit farther than 8 blocks, and they wouldn't see the zombie. So yeah, I just went back down to 7. I had also tried having these things on all 4 sides, like I would have the beds way over here. But the problem with that, I don't think anybody's really looked at the code yet, but it seems that these guys check for villagers 10 blocks away, whether they're in the same like cluster of villagers. So I thought like having another group of villagers over here, if you do the math, that actually puts them 10 blocks away if you arrange them in a square. But I think that the villagers actually use a bounding box check. So they check a 10 by 10 square for other villagers that might be in the same cluster. That's a lot like a lot of other Mojang code and old villager code. It would often do these bounding box checks instead of radius checks. So a couple hours later, and with a new really fancy microphone, I've tried stacking these up, and you can see it here. It seems to work just fine. I don't remember the spacing between them. I think it's, 13. That's pretty much just to get these guys so they don't see the iron golems down here if they're spawned. But I'm not even sure that's a problem. So I've added these trapdoors here because there was a small chance, or actually a pretty good chance, that the guys would walk off here and then fall all the way down and land on the trapdoor right here, the one to assist the iron golems to walk down into this pit. But yeah, so far from my testing, this will work about right. The iron golem, so you'd have to watch this in slow motion, but yeah, he just barely graces against the edge of this one, so he'll be aligned all the way down. And I don't think that he can like walk into this area right here. He just can't get enough velocity fast enough. but I'm not 100% sure. You might have trouble stacking this more than 2. So this is the game slowed down, and I'm just going to show how I inspected this. I think this is one of the best ways to do this really precisely. So you can see he just barely doesn't quite make it to that trapdoor. So as far as I know, he'll always make it down that little gap. So this here is a time lapse from before I added that fix, and this is just how I figured out what the problem would be. So eventually, at some point in time, one of these golems is going to spawn up here and land on this trapdoor right here. It's some statistical thing that happens where he can somehow get just enough velocity that he doesn't hit the first set of trapdoors, I guess, and hits the second set of trapdoors, or maybe he hits the zombie below and pathfinds to that. I'm really not sure. I tried one other thing, which is I was going to try and make these all in the diagonals, and I thought, when I crunched the numbers, I thought this might work because, like, the square root of 5 squared plus 5 squared is the distance over here. So this is 5 blocks in each direction. That should be just about enough to get him scared, but also far enough from this cluster of villagers that they won't interfere with each other. But I guess I made an oversight on that, I believe. They use this bounding box check, which checks basically the full bounding box of here. So these are 10 blocks away from each other. But I found that this basically didn't work. So I'm pretty sure that this is just not possible. Mojang kind of trolled everybody who thought they could do this, because it just won't work. So I have one more thing to show. It's a 3x3x3 iron farm. It technically works. I don't think this is worth building at all. The zombie needs to be right in the middle of this trapdoor for this to be able to work. These villagers can just barely get out of the sight of this one so they can sleep and work. But that it is technically pretty fast, and it is technically 4 blocks high because of these wither roses up here. But I'm just not going to count those. And on Ray's stream, they do these testing nights where they try and develop farms like this. And this was somebody else's idea for the trapdoor, waterlogged trapdoor down here for these guys to stand on, which just seemed to perfect it. So I think these farms are just about ready to build. I think you would be fine just building them now. Part of the reason I waited for a couple weeks to actually release this, I was hoping Mojang wouldn't patch this, because it seems like there's a really easy patch for it, like if they just require villagers to sleep for more than a millisecond or work for more than a millisecond. I think this is easy enough to build just by looking at this, but I will have a world download in case you want to like test it around, like move the structure blocks, maybe try and compact it or whatever, improve the design. But anyway, thank you for watching and goodbye.